Welcome, everybody, to today's episode. So we are going to be talking about the latest book that we put out on DM's Guild here in just a moment, The Traveler's Guide to the Multiverse. But first, as always, we're going to begin with a little bit of state of the table here. Welcomed by illustrious co-hosts Glen, Lewanika. Gentlemen, welcome. Glad to see you both. Glad to see you on the call tonight. Hope that everything is well down in Connecticut this fine evening.
It is warm, but let's not talk weather. Let's talk game table. I'm enjoying it, and I'm happy to be here with you guys tonight.
Same here. Very nice to see you both. Let us dive in here to the state of the table. And we had a big discussion about a week ago talking about the D&D Direct meeting that came out a couple of weeks ago, talking about the release of Spelljammer and the release of Dragonlance and some other really cool things that are coming out. But as is the world of the TTRPG space, the news wheel just keeps on turning. It doesn't stop. Lewanika, why don't you go ahead and get us started tonight? What's the big thing on the top of your list tonight?
So I'm actually going to start with a bit of the lighter bit of what I have tonight. So really fast, I just want to mention a few things that I pulled out of D&D Direct that I didn't have at the forefront when we spoke last. A couple things that I thought were very cool. They have these new map tile sets that are coming in boxes that are planned, and they have peel and stick things. There's also some tokens that are peel and stick, so they're reusable. And I thought those were amazing, really well done. The last thing I want as a player is to spend money that goes to waste or goes away. And a lot of, if you're not getting minis, some of the flimsier skinny minis or some of the kinds of tokens, they're one use. Like once they are what they are, they're never anything else. So you lose the ability to do something different. So the fact that I can peel off and I can put on an ogre and I can peel that off and put on a young dragon, or I can peel that off and take a smaller token and put on a bunch of goblins. Those are my minions. And then later on, when we're in the graveyard, I can peel all those off and put in skeletons and all of that is really cool. And it looks like, I don't know the actual map tile count, but it looks like I can put together a pretty sizable board. I can fit it at the game table at my local shop. If I'm getting that kind of versatility from these two sets, that's worth the price of admission, whatever that may be, simply because I'm not going to stop using that for my in-person games. And I think that was very nice. I like that. And I look forward to hearing more about it. I don't know when it's going live yet. I haven't been able to get quite that much. But once those are on the market, we'll be certain to be talking about it and mentioning it and celebrating that with our local shopkeepers.
Totally, yeah. That is definitely one thing that if you're running a game in the physical meat space, I know that I personally was shocked at how expensive good terrain and good maps are. Playing in a virtual space makes that a little bit easier because there's a lot of really great cartographers out there that are putting out maps that can be used in VTTs and everything like that. But actual physical maps that represent space and can be built up on, and gosh, terrain itself is very expensive. And so I was glad to see that they look like they're producing some lower cost alternatives that would be useful and valuable to those of us that are continuing to play in physical space as opposed to virtual space.
And less wasteful too, because there's been some versions of printable terrain that matches up too, but then you're throwing away the paper every time you're trying to reuse it.
Totally. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I would also say, look, I've spent hundreds on Paizo flip mats, and I don't regret it. Like, I have no regrets. I am not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Those were awesome. Kudos to Paizo. They put out some great products that I've used to great effect in my physical games when I was holding those, and I will be using them again. I actually have in the barrel on Amazon about 30 more maps ready to go for when I get back to the physical space later this year, because I have maps that I want to use in scenarios that I want to play. However, if I'm spending that much on maps, I've got a budget. So I have a lot of minis, but I don't have enough minis. When I have to field an army or a group of minions, I'm going to want something to differentiate that. The fact that I can color code those minions. So these are the blue ones. These are the other ones. I can create a swarm on the table. And the blue ones, it's blue swarm, red swarm. How much easier is that for me to manage with my encounter builder? Fantastic. Yep.
Totally agree. Cool. I am going to take the next one here before you continue on here, and I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I'm going to talk about something else that was mentioned in around the same time that D&D Direct announcement came out here, and it has to do with the merger of Wizards of the Coast, D&D Beyond. Over the last couple of days, there has been a bit of pushback that has to do with the release of the new Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse book, and it appears, now that Wizards of the Coast is, I guess, more in control of the material on D&D Beyond, you're no longer going to be able to go ahead and purchase Volo's or the original Mordenkainen's Tome of Monsters. And look, I get it, right? Because with the evolution that they're talking about with D&D, where they're clarifying some of the rules, they're changing a lot of the race and lineage and creature things and everything like that. And I think on some level they want to distance themselves from the content that's in those books. I understand why they're doing it, but I do think that it's an interesting choice, that those, if you don't buy those books before, I think it's like the 17th or something like that, basically from the point that Mordenkainen's comes out by itself and is available on D&D Beyond, if you don't buy either of those books, they're no longer going to be available. You're not going to be able to buy them after the fact. And I think it's an interesting, I'm not going to say that it's good or bad, because I'm honestly not sure that it is. I don't know that I really feel about it, that it's good or bad. It is an interesting choice. Yeah.
I think it makes total sense. From a collector's standpoint, owning either of those books after Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse drops may be something that somebody's into. But aside from that, from what I understand, because I haven't actually gotten to read Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, because I will not buy a 3-pack of books for 2 books that I already freaking own just to read it. I'm waiting. And that's not a knock to anybody who did. Lewanika. It's just I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Guilty.
But he's only in Norwich. You'd think he'd have loaned it to me by now. No. However,
I haven't finished reading it yet.
I could have read it and given it back to you by now.
Fair.
But I digress yet again. Where I'm going with this is that what I understand is correct, they rewrote the way that monsters work to a degree.
Yeah.
So that effectively means this is a new rule set. This old rule set is obsolete. So if a monster from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes is rewritten in Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, the Monsters of the Multiverse supersedes Tome of Foes at this point. It's obsolete. Scoot it off the shelf.
Yeah. And I guess that's where my question is coming from, is that we didn't realize that the old books were going to become obsolete. We thought that what this was an alternative. And it seems pretty clear that they are stating that is not the case. Go ahead, Lou.
So headed towards 5.5, baby.
Yeah. So one, this lightning train is on the rails and we're going. That's a true statement. I get what you're saying, and I get some of the concern a little bit, but I will follow what Glenn said and just say this. One, they are new, and they are vastly different just from the 3/4 of the book that I've read so far. So there are big changes. Following those big changes, I would say this. They've also said separately and much earlier that they're going to automatically update anything that was reprinted anyway. So D&D Beyond is going to have the new characters regardless. So anybody who has the old one, even when they click on that link, it's going to show the new thing anyway. So to Glenn's point, it doesn't make sense to charge people for this thing that has no value anymore because it's not even there. Right. I think of it more as that's actually them doing some fan service. They're actually taking a choice away.
Stopping you from doing it before you realized.
Yeah. So people don't buy it thinking, oh, I'm missing this book. I better get this one now. Or worse yet, oh, I'm going to buy this book for my buddy because they don't have this book in their collection. Here's a great present. And we're talking about the digital book, right? Not like going to your shop and getting that physical book that can look pretty on your shelf and eventually be a collector's item like many other old physical publications that are now like ridiculous money to if you got them or if you need to find them. We're talking,
I still had.
Yeah, we're talking about a digital book that everything in it has been changed. It doesn't matter how it's there. They're not taking away anything that anybody's already purchased. They're fixing everything that everybody's already purchased for free. And they're just saying don't buy the old one anymore. So you don't waste $30 and then have to get another $30 to get the things that are in the new book that are not in the old book.
All right.
So I actually dig the decision, but I get how people get a little frustrated. Wait a minute, you're taking away my toys. No, you keep your toys. We're just not letting anybody else buy your toys.
I would be surprised if it stops at D&D Beyond. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think they're going to run into all of the game stores and pull things off the shelves that have already been sent out. But those 2 books are about to go out of print.
Yep.
There's not any reason for them to print them anymore either. So if you want one as a collector's item, this is your last call. You better get into your local game store or Amazon, but I like your local game store better, and pick one up.
How's the song go? Closing time.
Yeah. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Exactly.
It's definitely that thing that folks need to know about and be aware of.
Yep. All right, Lewanika, a couple minutes left here. You said you had a couple of other quick shout outs that you wanted to do here tonight.
So real quick, 2 minutes. We're getting back to physical spaces. We are getting back to doing physical things. And I want to make sure we talk about a local gaming convention that's in the southeastern Connecticut area. Drinking and Dragons.
Drinking and Dragons.
16. Yeah,
Wow.
it is. I am so glad that the folks at NLCRPG have been able to go ahead and bring us back live. We're going to be back in the same space that we had the last time there was a live event, which was fantastic. It was right before the pandemic. I look forward to being in that space. I ran a great...
That was like, 13, 14 years ago?
Yeah,
it feels like
yeah.
But I ran a great Dead Rain game. Shout out to Eddie Jakes in our Dead Rain episode there, and I had a blast with good friends. And it'll be nice to sit down at a table. It's an adult scenario. It is over 21 because there will be alcohol served there or whatever. And they do wristbands. They've got licensed bartenders there and the whole bit. So it's a legitimate thing. It's a lot of fun. The games are hot. They tend to have a lot of games, not just D&D. So I look forward to being back in that space with everybody. It'll be a lot of fun.
I'm a little bummed that, unfortunately, the weekend that it's going to be running, I am not going to be able to come down to Connecticut and play with y'all, but definitely support the NLC RPG in the good work that they do and everything like that. We had them on the show, probably a year ago now at this point. Fantastic, fantastic episode, fantastic group of people. So, support the heck out of them.
And if you're looking for any of the interviews we just mentioned, go ahead, go to our website. We have playlists, and there's a brand new playlist that we just put in a few days ago called Interviews. And there you'll see all the interviews we've done, both the past one, Dead Rain with Eddie Jakes, the Drinking and Dragons crew, as well as some of our most recent ones from Critical Role Month. They're all there. You can just hit those up and have a good. We love to interview. We love talking to awesome people about awesome things, and I think that's great. One last one, and I know I'm slightly over time, but I'm going to throw this out here super fast. I recently, as like a day and a half ago, started a conversation with a Mr. Carter from the H.H. Ellis Technical High School. He's a teacher who runs a program there, which is the H. Ellis Simulation Club. And they do all kinds of games, tabletop games, board games, Magic the Gathering. There's a little bit of video gaming, Mario Kart, that type of thing. But they play RPGs, TTRPGs. And He sought us out to ask if we've ever gone to events. They run a convention once a year to support that program. And we're going to be in touch with Mr. Carter to really help support that, because I truly believe in the amazingness of this role-playing game. It's how I cemented my early friendships, and it was during those high school years that we did that, and we did it at game tables, sometimes game tents when we were at Boy Scout camp, sometimes just wherever we could throw dice, we would do
game
it.
Overhang underneath the edge of Cochegan Rock.
Yeah, absolutely.
We totally play D&D underneath the overhang of that rock.
Yeah. Playing D&D in the outdoors at night by campfire, awesome. You must do it sometime. If you haven't done it, get a crew, go do it. But Mr. Carter, thank you for reaching out to Tabletop Journeys. We really appreciate you. We are going to have links up on the site with more information as this convention comes up. They are planning this event for November 19th, 2022. It's a $10 entry. Children under 12 can be included with an adult entry. So as long as you're an adult, if you have a child under 12 coming to this, you can do it. So obviously it's in a school. It's a family-friendly program. It's H.H. Ellis Simulation Club, and that is the technical school. It is called EllisCon, and it is in the group itself meets in Danielson, Connecticut at the Ellis Technical High School.
We're going to have to go ahead and make sure we get that we get that on our calendars. And I think that could be, it sounds like the weekend before Thanksgiving. So that could be a good time. We'll have to go ahead and make sure we get down there.
Right.
So. Yep. I'm looking forward. Thanks again, Mr. Carter. We appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah. All right. We are going to cut off video here then, and we're going to go ahead and jump over, and we're going to start talking about our new book. So that episode will be up on the podcast channel in a couple weeks here. But in the meantime, go to DM's Guild, check out the Traveler's Guide to the Multiverse.
Links
and then,
below.
Have the book in hand when we talk about it.
And be sure, everybody, to hit that subscribe button and comment. That really helps the algorithms. We really do appreciate when you do that, and it helps us make a much better show.
Notifications.
Exactly.
Ding!
All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We're going to switch over and start recording now. Have a good night, everybody.
Jelly Bean says bye.